Don't I have a treat for your eyes today? Not only will I show you 3 incredible one-color techniques that will make you fall in love with water control, but I will also be swatching and testing 3 amazing ink colors from the Canadian Ferris Wheel Press. The inks are so stunning, including bottles and packaging, that it almost feels like you're opening a luxurious perfume bottle. At the end of the video, I will tell you which one of these beauties is my favorite and why. Hi, I'm Leila, a professional artist. Welcome to my studio. And here's my studio helper, relaxing on my lap as always. If you're new here, bookmark this channel by subscribing and remember to share this video to spread something positive. And creativity is one of those things, because it's not just with painting or drawing. It goes through our whole life, our experience, and the more our eyes open to the new nuances in the life around us, the more interesting our existence becomes. So share this video away with anyone who you think might get some inspiration from it. You know, guys, I try to be very transparent with the products I use in my tutorials. I've been sent these inks by the brand and did not purchase them myself, but I've admired Ferris Wheel Press for a while, and I'm so happy that I can test these out with you guys. I will leave all the links for these products under the video. Ferris Wheel Press have also offered a discount for you guys, so I will leave all the details and the discount code in the description under the video. So this is the Skies of Uproar. The ink tone is sky blue with champagne shimmer. Characteristics, the brand says, are ethereal, dreamlike, and cosmic. The inspiration behind this was a thunder that shakes the earth, lightning that lights up the skies. The patch unleashes a thunderous bolt of lightning, its brilliant crack splitting the sky and heralding the beginning of an epic battle. I love how round and cute this bottle is. Again, they're just like little perfume bottles, these ink jars, absolutely beautiful with golden embellishments. And that separation of the ink and the shimmer is just so beautiful. I just can't get over how beautiful these are. Okay, so let's test out the Skies of Uproar. The shimmer can sediment a little bit, so that's why it's very important to give it a really good shake before you use it. See how beautifully it disperses through the sprayed water. Little patch tests. It has such a fine shimmer. Oh yes, and I can see the separation happening already here. You see how beautiful that blue and that golden shimmer. It says it has a champagne shimmer on the box here, and it's got medium shading, so it's not super dark, but it looks beautiful, absolutely stunning. Oh, there are just so many things I can show you with this. And you can see how differently it behaves on different papers. And while these are drying, we can do the other tests on Meaden's watercolor paper. First, I want to write the name of this ink with the dip pen. So here we go. Now, all the inks I'm testing today, they're all good with the dip pens, and also they're good with the fountain pens too. This paper is a little bit tricky to write on because it is a cold pressed watercolor paper, which is slightly textured and a little bit furry as well. So I find that I really need to press down on it to get ink off the pen. Now let's do a layer test where I will put 3 layers on and dry them in between the application. Now while that one is drying, let's do a dispersion test where I just block out an area with water and then apply the ink quite intensely. And see how it runs and how it spreads. And I think it's doing quite a good job of spreading. And I can see the shimmer. Oh, I love that shimmer. So gorgeous. It's hard to see through the camera now just because everything is glossy, because it's wet. But in real life I can see a little bit of shimmer, so I think when it dries it will become very visible. Now let's do a few squiggles with a brush. Some dripping. And a bamboo stick test. Second layer of the layering test. And the third. So this is what the 3 layers on top of each other with drying in between look like of Skies of Uproar. And this is the pen work. And here we can see how it behaved on certain papers when it was applied onto a sprayed and beaded water. So this is the sugarcane paper, and we can see the beautiful shimmer. Mixed media paper is the paper that has quite a bit of sizing on it, so it's not as absorbent as watercolor paper, but still quite absorbent. And so we can see that line of shimmer. This is a very, very fine shimmer. Very fine. It's almost like a warm silver. That's how I would describe it. Now, this is on hot press paper, and hot press paper, of course, got a very smooth surface. So, for example, you're into calligraphy and stuff like this, I'd suggest using hot press versus cold press. And this is Uproar paper. Now, Uproar paper is a very different paper from everything else. It is designed for inks and markers and things like that. And it is poreless synthetic paper. So when you apply something on it, it stays there. It does not absorb, nothing. If it does move, it only moves with water. And so you can see how the ink behaved itself here. It almost looks light in some areas, but then darker in others. You can kind of almost see the texture of it even. I don't know, can you guys see that? So here I use the stick, and the interesting thing is that it looks more gray when you apply it with stick than when you do it with a brush. So I think it has something to do with the way that dyes and that shimmery pigment disperse themselves in water. So here is the water dispersion test, which is we do have a little bit of a sparkle, but it goes all throughout, and we can see that soft separation of blue and the green. I think it did happen a bit stronger on these papers. Now this paper, Meaden's cold press watercolor paper, it's very intense, so it intensifies colors. So that's why I just wanted to try it on all different papers just to see what works the best. If you love experimenting with your materials, trying new things, whether you're a beginner or intermediate level, you might really like the amazing community that's forming on Patreon. You'll find the links to my Patreon page under the video. Make sure to go and check it out because I have so many tutorials on there already, videos where you can paint along with me. You also will find a lot of in-depth information. I really focus on step-by-step tutorials on Patreon as well. You might also like to take part in games that happen there a few times a year, and video suggestion and voting process. Always lots of fun. One of the main things is that I also offer feedback videos where I take a look at your works and give you points and hints on how to fix certain issues you might be struggling with, or even just an overall direction of where to take your works to the next level and how to do it. So I look forward to seeing you on Patreon. It looks like I've almost used 3 colors in here, maybe even more. So there's the shimmer, there's the blue, and then there's that yellowy, sort of a greenish comes through as well. Now let's have a look what you can paint using just this one color. So for this little tutorial, I'm going to use the Skies of Uproar, but I will be using common watercolor ingredients as well. So for this little one, I'm going to use some blocking medium, masking fluid, sometimes it's called, to separate an area. The reason why I'm not just trying to paint around this little bird here is because I really want the ink to flow. You can't really have a flow and white areas of the paper showing without using something like masking tape or masking fluid. As always, you want to make sure that your masking medium is 100% dry. Oh, hello. So now that everything's dry, I'm going to apply water from the spray bottle. Next, giving this a good shake. I'm just tilting the paper a little bit to facilitate the spread of the paint in the direction that I want it to. And here I'm just blocking everything in. I'm using the side of the brush to create that dry brushed sort of a skipped look. While everything is damp, I'm just adding a little bit more water here and there. And especially trying to keep that darkness to that side of the work. And I can see the beautiful shimmer coming through. So now you see how some areas are quite intense and some are already drying. So I'm going to use another very common watercolor ingredient, table salt. Because there's so much pooling, the salt will just drown. So I'm only applying salt onto the areas that are drying. Just reabsorbing a little bit of this because it's pooling so much. It's going to take till tomorrow to dry. And I need to get a move on. I can't be waiting for that long. Some more salt. And look at that. Where the salt absorbs the moisture and moves some of the pigment away, we can actually see a warmer color coming through, not the cooler one. How interesting. And if you look at the edges, can you see that very bright, almost fluoro blue coming through? Wow. You know, when I did those tests, I don't think I did that. So perhaps maybe on a different paper, or what is most likely is that the larger scale of this test or this technique actually makes these colors come through even more. While it is actually drying, I just want to bring a little bit of this color just through like that, just to create a little bit more of the darker variation on the water, just to merge that and that a little bit more, because I kind of want this little birdie to be almost lost in this, you know, colorful spray of green and blue. This is quite a reasonably light ink, but you can build it up to go quite dark. And you know, in the beginning, I sort of felt a little bit like, you know, because that shimmer settles so quickly that you kind of constantly have to close the lid and shake it up. But now I'm actually really enjoying that factor, because if I don't want shimmer in a particular area, I don't shake it and I just dip my paintbrush on the top of the vessel. But if I want some shimmer, I go deeper and I kind of pick it up from the bottom. So that way I kind of have more control over what's going on. So I want to build up some of the things here at the front for a bit more contrast. And I'm doing that by pretty much just creating these lines. And then if I need to darken it even more, I can just damp a little bit of ink into a section. Okay, so I've been working on this for about 20 minutes. It's still very, very wet, but you can see how large those reabsorptions by salt are, and the incredible array of colors that it is actually creating. I can see really bright yellow there and really bright blue, and then there's gray, and then there's shimmer, and then this is absolutely stunning. I so love the effect that this ink is actually creating. I can't wait for this to dry either. Okay, you guys, I got really impatient, so I used a hair dryer to dry off the rest of it. So once, you don't want to be drying when the salt is doing its work, but pretty much sold areas, everything was dry. It was just this area and this area that were just sitting there, and you can see a different sort of a look that it's created because the water, the ink was moving that way and that way, and so it created these almost like little bushes and lines. So let's get it all finished. You can always go with another layer to, you know, make color even deeper, because remember when we tried it here, you can definitely layer it on, and with each layer it will be darker, but I don't want to. I just want to leave it as is, and I can see the beautiful shimmer. But what we need to do now is remove the blocking medium or the masking fluid. So you can do it with the finger or with the eraser. So you can see that it comes off in these little rubbery bits. And we can also scrape off the salt. Now that all of that is done, we can remove the masking tape. I think it bleeds more than watercolor because it doesn't have the thickness of the pigment that watercolor has. There's lots of bleeding. If that ever happens, just remember that you can always crop the painting, but that's a very good test. This is something that I'm going to need to keep in mind. And just like watercolor, you can reconstitute it back to movement with water. So as you touch your artwork, you can, you know, with damp hands or something like this, it will come through. So that's just from, you know, rubbing the stuff off. Okay, so let's have a look at this painting. I absolutely love it, you guys. I love all the textures that the ink has created. Not every watercolor can do that, especially the variety of colors. And I'm telling you, this is just one color. And look at the shimmer as well. This one here is called Mulberry Majesty, and the inspiration behind this color for Ferris wheel is a festive time with lights twinkling, and the toy store comes to life with its shelves full of adorable plush toys and whimsical gadgets. Get lost in the magic of childhood as you browse through precious trinkets that hold cherished memories. With every pen stroke, this ink evokes the rosy warmth and sparkling childlike joy of wandering through a winter wonderland of toys, enveloped in the scent of mulberry. Tone is a vibrant purple with a rose gold shimmer. They describe the characteristics as playful, cozy, and soothing. It's a water-based ink that's compatible with all fountain pens. What I also really love about the quality is just how heavy these bottles are. Even the lids are very heavy and has a very, very good feel in your hand as well. You feel that you're holding something really valuable. So let's see how this color works on 5 different papers. When I apply this color, I don't see any shimmer straight away, but as the paint settles, you can see the shimmer coming through, and in some areas it's very smooth, but in some it almost collects. It is drawn together. It's very interesting, and I think the paper does have quite a strong effect on how it dries down. So here I'm testing out a layering technique with layers, but they are all dry in between. You can see the shimmer moving around in the wet ink. Now, while that layer is drying, I would like to do a spreadability test. I'm just going to apply water and then dab a little bit of intense ink to see how far it will go. Now, while all of this is drying, I'm going to try using this ink the way it was intended to be used for calligraphy writing. So far with the testing, while this is still drying, these 3 little swatches have dried. Hot press, sugarcane and mixed media paper, and this one is the Uproar paper, you know, the synthetic one, the poreless one. So this one's still a little bit wet. These tests I'm still working on, so this is still wet and But the thing that I find really beautiful with this ink is the separation between the pink, the purple, and the blue. Also, as it dries, I can see more and more of that copper color appearing from that sediment that's in the ink, you know, the shimmer that's there. Oh, and I've almost forgot. The other test is using a stick. I love this color. And now let's have a look what I can show you with that. But before I do that, I just want to point out how when the color is used in an intense way, the shimmer comes through much stronger. So you can see that there's a little shimmer in every little dot. It's absolutely stunning. I wonder how it will come through in the one color exercise. I've decided to go with the mixed media paper. Here I'm going to do with different techniques. And what I'm going to start with is creating a very soft color. I'm going to actually dilute the ink here on my palette with water. And now some ink. Look how beautiful, but a little bit scary it looks, you guys. There's something a little bit horror movie-like about it. Okay, now the horror movie is gone. Grab that ink diluted in water and just apply it like that. And you see it creates a very soft tone, almost like this wash. And remember, you can lift up your work in one direction or the other. I quite like these lines that are forming. I don't know what they would look like when they are dry, but this is really interesting. And I'm actually going to turn it this way, and I'm going to create a few drips. I might need a tissue on the other side. There we go. It is so much fun playing with these, you guys. It's kind of like watercolor, only a little bit different, you know, and all of that. Oh, I can already see here the separation of the pink and the blue. This is so beautiful. Okay, now I'm gonna leave all of that to dry. It has to be perfectly dry, and then we'll just go again with a new layer. Okay, now that this is dry, I'm going to spray water on this area here. Now the interesting thing would also be to see how well it can be worked around with water and what's going to happen when we do. So this is very interesting. It's like a test for me as well. Okay, now because I don't want paint to go down this way, I'm going to just wipe all of this dry. And here I'm going to use the full ink without any dilution. Yeah, I think it definitely got agitated by the water. Okay, so this technique where you spray and then you add a little bit of paint or ink or whatever you do, now that works the best with any kind of fluid media. So if you want to do this with watercolor, you would need to get some liquid watercolor or pre-diluted in like on your palette or something like that. And you see here is where I'm creating that other layer. Don't try and cover everything. If you've got little spots, it actually adds to the effect. You know, that can be quite cool too. Now this is where you don't want to be pushing the paint too hard. You just want to lead it to that spray and then let it do its own thing. I know it can be hard for those people who really like to have full control of everything, but this is just such a pretty water control where you kind of semi-control it and then you let it flow. And now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add with the dark full ink. So this is just full ink on my brush. Like almost like these little dashes and things. It's like a squiggly line. These almost semi-abstract shapes and things like that. And then your eye and your brain turns it into a landscape silhouettes. And now I have a really dry brush. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just grab this like that. And you see, create that sort of a texture. Now you see with just how with layering of the intensity of the color, we've created depth in the landscape. Now I want to do some more detail, but I would have to wait for it to dry. And I'm also seeing how there's quite a bit of pooling that's happening. I'm just going to reabsorb these with a brush a little bit, just to fasten the time a little bit, because I do want to finish filming everything today. Just like this, kind of like as if you've got a vacuum cleaner. Well, if you've got a good brush, it'll be sucking everything up like that. So you just dry it up and then absorb a little bit. Another thing you can do, if you want to, is to do a little bit of blooming. Now I do have a video on the full blooming technique and how to do it, but you pretty much wait until things are a little bit dry but still damp, and then you add a little bit of water and it creates these little blooms. Usually people want to get rid of them because they get in the way of them painting, but here we can actually recreate them, and they create little beautiful little trees. And so it'll be a good test actually for this ink to see how well it blooms. Well, here we go. Can you see them appearing? Blooms is a very pretty way to create more depth in foliage, especially when you're not working on something super detailed. Oh wow, you guys, look at that. As it drying, some areas are still damp, like this and this, the ones that have quite a bit of fluid. But some of the shimmer is coming through. It looks so gorgeous. I love it. I love it. And the blooming in this is very soft. With watercolor, sometimes it creates these sharp edges, but this is very, very soft, which is quite interesting because it dries quite harsh when we do the spray thing. And also the spray lifted up a little bit, so it's created like this white little specks as well, which is quite cute too. So next, what I want to do is I want to create a little tree here at the front. Now you can finish right there and you don't need to go any further, but I just want to do a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is just very lightly spray. And then with a large brush, I'm going to go into that mix. Remember that I've created for the sky here? So I'm gonna go really soft first and sort of create like this little area there. Now I'm gonna grab my smaller brush and I'm just going to, and I've picked it up from the bottom of the jar so that I get a little bit of shimmer in as well. Just move it all around like that, and then it can come back down. There we go. So remember, with anything fluid like this, the gravity is your friend. This is almost like connecting bubbles. It's really fun, you guys. So yeah, if you want to add more, you can just dab a little bit more on there. If you want to lighten some areas, you can just dry your brush and reabsorb. You can add more things like that, like what I've done here. And if you're wondering what I'm painting, I don't know. This is very ink-led kind of artworks, but at the same time, they're all about water and the way the water spreads, the way the liquid painting material spreads in the water as well. So you can see how here we've created so many different textures, so many variations with the specific use of the water, right? Where I've diluted something, then you wait for things to dry, then you get the sharper edges, or you make things flow into each other and so on. And of course, having this mesmerizing color variations that are created by just this literally one color of ink, where we've got blue, purple, we even have some brown, we even have some pink, and a shimmer, and the copper shimmer that on top of that. I'm not gonna move anything, I'll just wait for everything to dry. This is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying this. Oh, and I don't really know what time of the year this is, The whole thing started as kind of winter because that kind of looks like snow. But then now I've got this tree here. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Okay, so the Mulberry Majesty is all dry. Let's have a look. Let's remove the masking tape and see if it leaked this time around too. Yeah, it did. It did. So obviously, you guys, masking tape is not a protection from the ink bleeds, because I've really stuck it on as hard as I could, and this is not a super gentle masking tape either, so quite interesting. There, see that bled through there too. But oh my goodness, if you can see that shimmer and how it moved as well. Yeah, definitely not as bad as the first sketch, but there still definitely bleeds. So I'd say if you're working on this, don't even worry about the masking tape. Or worry about it, it's up to you. You know, you guys decide what you want to do. Embers of Time. The brand says the ink tone is shaded dark gray with rose gold shimmer. Characteristics of this ink are moody, industrial, and versatile. At the heart of each gray skyship lies a living machine, a clockwork symphony of the gears turning, pistons firing, and steam hissing through copper veins. Glowing with rose gold embers, this engine heart is more than mere machinery. It is a spark of life, forged from brass and fire, ever beating. It drives its vessel not only through the stars, but through time itself. And so you can see on the packaging there are helpful little mechanical rabbits that keep the engine heart running. And of course you can see the clock theme all through the packaging. As you can see, the sediment is happening in this bottle on the bottom here. So what we need to do is to shake it. The first time you need to shake it quite well because it tends to really clump up. But then as you keep working, you can just shake it a little bit. And I love these lids. They're just so heavy. Oh, look at that color. Oh no, I got it all over my hands. How did that happen? Okay, I see why that's happened. This little inlay here, it was a little bit on the angle when I closed the bottle, and so it did not close properly. So that's the reason why it's happened. And so when I shook it, it went all over the place. Now let's try this again. Maybe I'll make more mess, who knows? But that's part of the experiment. That's what reviews are all about. Whoops, sorry guys, I'm bumping everything all over the place, so I'll wipe everything now, just so that I know it's nothing from the last time. Okay, let's have a mix. I'll take this. No, it's clean now, so it was my fault, you guys. And look, I've marked up this as well now. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Oh, it's still beading, so that's a good sign. Everything did not get absorbed into the paper with my shenanigans. Look at that. Wow. I love that. It's so misty, and I can see the separation. It's separating into green and blue, and it almost feels like there is a little bit of red, which creates a bit of that browniness. Perhaps it's that shimmer, which we'll see once it dries. So now let's see it just applied like that. Okay, now let's try it out as it was intended with a calligraphy pen. Some for the layering technique, and let's see how it behaves itself when it's let loose in the water. Now a little bit of brush work. some splatter, and of course a stick. But you can see with this one is that the shimmer is very, very dispersed all throughout the ink, and it sort of glistens a little bit, but it does not pool or collect in any of the areas, at least on this swatch. Let's have a look how the other ones did. So here we have the sugarcane paper. You can see that in the line, and also here. Can you see that shimmer? Now I did manage to get this color everywhere, and of course, you know, when you're testing out splatters and things like that, it's really hard to control where it goes. But good news is that it comes right off my varnish table. Okay, so now this one I probably won't use the the masking tape, because there really is no point. So I'm just going to draw like a little lines like that by hand. And I'm also going to do a line like this. Just like with the previous sketch, I'm going to work in layers with this one. So just like before, I'm going to add water. And so this one I want to be a little bit darker, so more ink. So again, I'm using mixed media paper. And I'm just going to tilt it up a little bit like this to get most of the layers sort of going down that way. If you ever want to smooth things out, make sure that you tilt it in different directions. So a little bit this way, a little bit that way. I don't really need to do that now, but just so that you guys know. Okay, so this is now, it's already starting to separate. I can see the warmth and the greeniness. Oh, I love this color. Look how gorgeous. All those little things that it's forming. So this is not the intense ink. Remember, I've added a little bit of water to it. I'm just going to reabsorb a little bit of this excess here. Ooh, did you see it's coming through as red? This is so cool. I love this. Okay, so I'm back with more salt, you guys. I'm gonna do more salt stuff. I just absolutely love how it moves the ink around. Let's see what happens when we do this here. I won't put as much salt as I did in the first one. This one, I just want them to be more flakes. But you never know. This is the kind of a thing where you can never plan what's going to happen, because it does everything on its own. A little bit of that blooming technique as well. And you guys, if I'm mentioning videos or products or anything like this, I usually have them under my video, in the video description, you know, when you go down and you click more. So I will leave the link for a video on how to create blooms, where I go over different papers that resist blooms or help to create very strong blooms and so on. So make sure to go check it out if you're interested. So now I'm just going to, wow, look at that. This is absolutely amazing. And you know what the funny thing is? When I did the testing, this was all coming out as blue. How is that possible? And here it's all red. Wow. This is incredible. I can see some blue in there. Okay, I'm just gonna leave this to dry, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's completely dry. It's almost dry. It's still damp around the corners there and just around here, you know, where the salt is. But look at this, you guys. Now, if I knew that this is what would happen, I'll probably take something floral. Maybe. This is stunning, but this is definitely what I did not expect. And that's what makes it so super interesting. So I'm just gonna carry on. Put like a Christmas tree with a very intense black. And I want to ground it in that darker line that I've created. So this is full ink. I'm not diluting it with anything. This is just full ink. Maybe there's a little person skiing. Let's give the skier a couple of lines. So this is very, very diluted. Oh, that's quite strong. This person's really bundled up, it looks like, so that they're nice and warm. You don't really need to put those in, but I'm just sitting waiting for paint to dry. How weird is this? They almost look like two different colors. The colors that are on the swatches are very blue, very dark. There is a little bit of reddish there, but it comes through as brown. Whereas here, this is so bright. This is like bright orange. Wow, this is very, wow, I did not expect that. I mean, did you guys? Did you think this is how it's gonna be? Well, you probably have seen bits in the video, but how beautiful is this shimmer? It's stunning, just absolutely stunning. Okay, so this part is my final thoughts on the review, not the techniques, but on the review of these products. This is the morning, the next day after I finished filming everything, because I wanted to show them to you guys in the daylight as well. Because of the shimmer, they do sort of have a different feel during the day and with artificial lighting. Also, as I promised, I will tell you which color I would get if I had to choose one from these three. If I could only do one, which one I would go for. Just me personally, and why. Before I tell you though, I want to just compare a few quick pros and cons of these inks. And you probably have seen a lot of the pros already, just how beautifully diverse each one of those colors, how they split into so many variations and almost hard to predict, which makes working with them a lot of fun. It is just so exciting because you don't know what your work will look like in 15 minutes after you sprinkled salt on it. Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be red? Just such a thrill, really. Also, the packaging and the thought behind each one of those colors, it's incredible. The theme, the story of each color, the boxes with their beautiful design, and even the bottles themselves, just such a good quality. You can hear it when you're handling it. The lids, everything, it's just perfect. You know, every single little thing is thought through, which is beautiful. Another pro as well is that if you love combining calligraphy and painting, again, this is a big plus because this stuff works well with both. And even though it does have shimmer in it, it is perfect for fountain ink pens. I don't really have any good drawing fountain ink pens, but if you do, these are not going to clog anything because the shimmer is so fine that it would work well. So now let's have a look at the cons. Okay, guys? So these are all the pros. It's incredible fun, blah, blah, blah. The cons. These inks are not very light fast. I've actually asked the brand representative and they said that it's actually even a good idea to keep bottles inside their packaging to prevent a light exposure even to the product itself. So if you are considering these, you have to be prepared for the low light fasting. Now, if you are happy to embrace that idea, I think it's very popular in Japanese art and creativity, that there is that kind of beauty, which is a temporary beauty, imperfect beauty, beauty that's not going to last forever, beauty that's just there to enjoy in that moment. I mean, I'm sure that these would last fine, even here on the table with the window right next to my table, for weeks without changing color. But you cannot put them in the frame and expect them to last forever and ever. If you are one of those artists that it is a deal breaker, well then that's it. You know, you have to stay away from those colors and don't even come close to them. But if you're one of those people that kind of like I don't know how I feel about my work fading, but at the same time, I love playing with things like that. Then perhaps consider doing stuff like this in your sketchbook because it'll be closed from the UV lights. You can also get protective things like UV sprays, and you can get, if you want to frame it, you can get UV glass, and just don't display it on right in front of the window where the direct sunlight is falling on it. I'm sure you'll get quite a few years out of it if you do it like that. But then again, I haven't done testing. This is just my assumption. Another thing to think about is that there is some art, like for example, this video here. You can be watching this 5 years from now, and who knows, by then these might completely fade, but in the video they will still look fresh. So perhaps if you may be into book illustration or something like this, remember that your work will live on through a different media, through photography, scanning, videos, or whatever. So then again, that could actually be absolutely fine. I'm just putting it out there, and you guys each need to make a decision for yourself, because we're all different people. We're all interested in different things. If you're just doing it for relaxing and you want to relax in a creative way, and you've got a whole heap of sketchbooks that you work in, and then why would that be a worry? But if you do your art and you only want to work on things that you're going to sell or gift or whatever, then you probably need to be aware that this is not something that's going to retain its brightness for many years exposed to the lights. Another thing that you need to be aware of is that while you are working with these inks, if you like the shimmer, you have to be constantly shaking them. So every few minutes, like if you're working on it and it's been there for 15 minutes and you want the shimmer to be suspended in the ink, you need to close the lid and shake it. If you've got a fountain pen, it probably is not a problem because you've got the ink in there. So you need to shake it once and then fill up your pen. And then because as you're writing, your pen is moving anyway, so you're putting it down, picking it up, so that would naturally happen. But if you're using it with a dip pen or with a brush or something like this, you have to be aware that you need to shake it. But I did actually like the fact that if I wanted to get more shimmer, rather than shaking, I could just go all the way to the bottom of the bottle, could get a really rich shimmer, or I could just pick up from the top if I wanted just the color and not much shimmer. So that kind of gave me a little bit control over it. So it depends again, some might see it as a minus and some might see it as a plus. I've actually experimented after I stopped filming, and I actually got really, really bright colors to come through with this Mulberry Majesty with the salt, because I didn't use any salt here. I will also do a few shorts, you guys. There's just so many things I want to try with these, and I don't think I can fit everything into one video. My videos are long enough as is. And now, if I had to choose just one color out of these three, like someone really twisted my arm and said, you have to keep only one, I will probably choose the Embers of Time. This color here. They're all very beautiful, and I absolutely love, how the paint spreads and everything. The reason why I would go for this one, because I can not only use it in a very colorful way, like here where it splits into the blue, or here where you've got the red and the shimmer and everything. It's stunning. The other ones are also stunning, but this color, when I used it with the pen, with the dip pen, it actually came out really, really dark. Not black, but a mix of black with a little bit of like Van Dyke brown or something. This is the feeling that it gives me. And then if I wanted to use it in mixed media, where say I worked with watercolor and then I wanted to use my dip pen for adding some details and things like that, and I did not want them to be black, like Indian ink kind of black, I think this is the one that I would use. So really, they're all very beautiful color-wise and everything, but just the fact that you can also really strip it down, and if you don't shake it, then you don't even get the shimmer. So you can use it as a very simple, very minimalistic ink. But also you can do all of this other stuff with it as well. So that's my opinion. And if you have a chance to have more than one, then there's even more on their website. It's just like every time I go on there, it's just It's beautiful. There's just so much there. And I think, to be honest, they don't even do fierce swatching on their website because it's quite, it's just a little bit of the ink there. So you don't really see all of the array of colors that I'm sure each one of those can really split into. It's so unexpected. That's the beauty of this. Is you don't know what to expect. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As you probably have noticed if you watched few of my videos, that I really love including different materials or products to test out, so that not only are you getting tips, but you also get to see another material that maybe you were thinking about or trying out. So I do that in pretty much almost all of the videos. So if you would like to see more and learn more, there are lots of videos already out on my YouTube channel, so make sure to watch those. And I want to say a big thank you to my wonderful patrons that are I just buzz with excitement every time when I go onto the Patreon and I check messages and emails and posts and things like that from you guys. So if you would like to be one of the patrons, please go over there, check it out. There are lots of different tiers to choose from, and I'm sure you'll find something very useful for yourself. So I really look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, whether it is here on YouTube or on Patreon. Have a great day!